Hello and welcome to Real Person Reviews. I'm Sam and I'm a real person, and today I want to talk to you about that. It's Bloons Tower Defense 3, or Bloons TD 3, or Bloons TD. Weird start. I don't know how I'm going to title it, but basically, this was how the hell do I even start? So Bloons was like a flash game, where you were like a monkey throwing darts, and basically it was about aiming the darts to pop balloons, with as few throws as possible, getting the right trajectory and timing, and that spun off into Bloons Tower Defense, which was using a variety of different kinds of sharp things to set them up along this path. Like tower defense, I'm just kind of explaining the genre of tower defense, really, because it's something that isn't as popular anymore. I think it was much more popular in, the maybe mid-2000s to, like, I don't know, maybe into the 2010s, maybe. I don't even know when it was, like, really its heyday, but especially with flash games, it was a fun one where you'd go up and basically you have a path and you set up a bunch of towers to try and stop incoming enemies or whatever from getting through the path. That's basically the idea. And with Bloons, there's a lot of sharp things, popping balloons that were coming down the tracks. And the main goal of, like, don't let too many of them pass through before getting to the final level, by placing towers, upgrading towers, that kind of thing. And then I played like a little bit of the first two. I mostly played Bloons Tower Defense 3, in a browser. That one was probably my favorite of all the ones I've played. I've kind of sampled, I think I've sampled all of them, really, but that was the one I really played a lot. 3 and 5, I played a good chunk of those. And, thing is, I guess apparently starting with the third one, I think that's when they had to start changing the name. For some reason, they couldn't call it Bloons Tower Defense because of some weird legal thing, so they changed it to Bloons TD 3, and that's why the things going forward are just called Bloons TD whatever. The series is still going. Apparently now, I think, like, the last Bloons Tower Defense, they've gone up to, like, 6, and, like, the last, like, just Bloons whatever game, just anything associated with Bloons was, I think, released as recently as, like, 2021. So I didn't even realize this thing was still going. I thought 5 was the last one, and I was wrong. So I might have to check out more of those. But there's also the thing with the naming thing with that as well is a little weird. I'm guessing, and I didn't find anything on this online, but my guess is that when they put this onto Nintendo DS, or the DSi, like as DSiWare, because I think this is also on mobile and other things as well, when they put it onto DSiWare, my guess is that they called it Bloons TD because they wanted it to be associated with Bloons TD stuff, but they thought it would be confusing to just start with 3, with people wondering where's 1 and 2. But to make things more confusing, they do also have Bloons TD 4 as a DSiWare game, but that one's actually 4. This one is 3. I got this one, and I just got it out of curiosity before the eShops closed, because I was like, that would be kind of fun to have that on my 3DS and play that. I liked some of the Bloons Tower Defense things, so I'll give it a shot. And I was pleasantly surprised to find that this was not a version of the first one, but actually a version of the third one. And there's actually, I think, bonus levels here that they didn't have on the web version. Maybe they had some other way to pay for those or something there, but I think it was maybe only paid versions, like on mobile devices or something too, where you could get these extra levels. Or like maybe certain places had level packs or something, but they had extra levels and stuff here, so, like, basically there's a lot to say. A long-winded way of saying this is Bloons Tower Defense 3. I'm kind of talking about both, but I'm going to be focusing a little more specifically on this one. Alright, you get the idea, I think. Let's dive in. So Bloons Tower Defense 3. I'll probably just be calling it that most of the time. But basically the idea, like I kind of mentioned, it's tower defense. You're setting up a bunch of towers in order to pop balloons that are coming down the tracks before too many go through. And all these levels, you can build these different, like, they cost different amounts of money. You get money for each balloon popped. And you also get a bonus of money every time you pass a round. In between rounds, you're given a break, so you can set up towers, upgrade towers, sell towers, and use that to try and configure things. There are a number of different towers with different pros and cons to them. They do different things. And I guess I want to go into a deep dive, like, every tower does whatever. But the main thing is that you will kind of need different tower types and setups and strategies to deal with different levels, depending on their layouts and the wave configurations, because the waves get more and more intense. There's like a hierarchy of balloons, and they have different properties to them. So like red balloons are basic ones. Blue balloons are a little bit faster than reds, and when you pop one, a red pops out. Then there's like green, and that pops down. Then there's yellow, which are a lot faster. They pop down into smaller ones. There's like black and white balloons. Black balloons are immune to explosions, and white balloons are immune to freezing. Those pop into white balloons, or those pop into like down into like yellows and stuff, and like groups of whatever. You kind of get the feel when you play it. There's also lead balloons, which require explosions or something that is, something more specific. So explosions or certain abilities can be upgraded. Certain towers can be upgraded to take those balloons out. And then there are things like rainbow, ceramic. There's a gigantic blimp thing. There's a bunch of different balloon types, basically. It's hard to really see. It doesn't even feel like spoiler, because it's not like there's a plot thing, but there's a lot of balloons. And yeah, you want to have different strategies for taking them out. Some things require like big area of effect things. Some stuff is going to be more about like crowd control, slowing things, stopping things. Some stuff's going to be about, really laser focusing on taking out a bunch of stuff in a certain spot, or like moving things all around. Whatever. Lots of different ways to configure your setup. There's also things that you can put up, like temporary things like road spikes, pineapple bombs, monkey glue. These can be used temporarily for that, only work for that round. So you have to, kind of weigh out the pros and cons. Do you need those? Is it worth spending the money on those? Whatever. Each level also, each map allows you to play on 3 different difficulties, easy, medium, or hard, and you get a metal, bronze, silver, or gold, respectively, if you can beat them on that difficulty. Upping the difficulty increases the cost of the towers and their upgrades, and also on hard you only get 50 lives instead of 100. I think it's 100 on both the others. I could be wrong, but I think it's 100 on both. No, I don't know. I pay super close attention, I'll have you know. And then there's in this game it's also multiple packs. So you start with, I believe, the first couple of packs I think are unlocked. And the first pack features maps from the web version of the game. The other packs have other levels in there. And so basically you have to beat so many tracks in order to unlock the next pack of tracks. Each pack has 3 tracks in it. And so you only have to beat so many of them on any difficulty in order to unlock, all of the tracks available. The final thing of tracks is actually also stuff from the original game. And the other ones are all extra bonus tracks you haven't seen before. So it's you get some more content there, I suppose. And that's what I think there's a total of there's 5 packs, so that's 15 tracks to play on. And they all have the easy, medium, hard difficulty if you want to try that. Some of the tracks have a single path throughout the whole thing. Some of them will have multiple paths. So they might have things starting out multiple places and potentially exiting multiple places, depending on how it's split up and everything. But they will always have the same assortment of balloons every time. It's always the same thing every time you do it. It's just there are different track setups and then different amounts of different costs and lives and stuff depending on the difficulty you pick as well. And that's basically that's it to say about the game. That's what you do, is you set this up and you try to strategize those things and figure out what works, what doesn't. Try to go for, gold medals on everything, and that's pretty much it. Now, I will also admit right here that I did not even beat every single track on easy. and I tried my hardest to look up if there was anything to get for doing that. There's not a ton of information on specifically this version of the game out there. It doesn't appear like you get anything. It's just for like, hey, you can, you're just doing it. So I don't think I missed anything, but it's possible. But this was as far as I could get. Now I will say there's a lot of stuff I like about this game. Okay, right off the bat, I really like this. In general, I like Bloons Tower Defense 3. It's just really fun. And this version was still pretty good with being able to, you move stuff around with the touchscreen to place towers, and then you can upgrade them and stuff. You use the buttons and stuff to move the things around the top screen to select different things. I think it was a bit easier to place road spikes in this version, specifically in Bloons TD, because of the setup with that. Because you can just kind of like tap it, drag the thing over and then keep tapping to keep placing them. Like those consumable items, you can kind of do that a little easier that way. So I kind of like that. And just the idea of having this in your pocket wherever you go, I really, really like that aspect of this version specifically. In comparison to other Bloons Tower Defense games that I've played, I really come back to this one because it's a pretty simple game. It's not like tons of, a super huge amount of things you have to do, so it doesn't feel like you're just playing this, every day, constantly trying to, like, level up and do other things or whatever, like daily challenges or anything. You're just kind of playing it when you want to play it to kill some time. I think it works really well for that. But, like there's that aspect to it, but it also isn't so simplistic that, like, it's just boring. And you do have, like, different strategies you can try with different, like, well, can I do something, like, with this type of tower or this type of thing? And you kind of have some levels that are your favorites to play around on. And I think it's probably a really good fix for you. Just like, I want my balloons fixed. I don't want to be, stuck in it forever. I don't want it to be super hard. I want to just have fun playing Bloons Tower Defense stuff. I still would say this is probably the one to go to just because of the balance between, like, the challenge of it, but also the fun of it and the simplicity of it. It's this really good mix of things in there. Plus, I really like that it has pauses between waves. As far as tower defense games go, that's not a standard. Some games will pause between waves. Some games will just keep going, and you just have to keep doing stuff on the fly. And I like having that extra time to, like, think about what I'm doing between things. I think that's really fun. As far as tower defense games goes, it's one of those go-to ones for me still. Like, it's one of the first ones I played, and I still really enjoy it now. I will say some complaints here. Obviously, the big one there is that like I mentioned, there is nothing really no real reward for beating every stage on hard or anything, doing this kind of stuff, being it on whatever difficulty. The only reward is you did it. So it's just kind of an excuse to play more and strategize differently and see if you can do it. There's not a whole lot there. I kind of wish they had, little something you got for doing everything, maybe. I mean, I'd still be mad that I can't get it, I guess, because I suck. But, like, it would be nice if there was some type of reward. There's also a really weird thing in this version. Really, most of my complaints come down to this version of the game. One annoying thing is that they mention in the wording here, little text bubble things between rounds. They're kind of telling you how the game works and other things and whatnot, and little flavor text. One of the things says, hey, when you're done with the stage, you can keep playing in free play mode, which is true in the web version. In the DSi version, when you're done with the map, you can either choose to quit or to play again. There is no way to keep going in free play mode to see how far it can go. And I don't know if that's a technical limitation of that or just an accident or what, but if you can't do that, they shouldn't have the text in there to do that. And I kind of wish they had just not said that you can do that if you can't do that. Because I don't even mind so much that I can't do that, a little bit. But if there was a problem, whatever, if you just didn't want to include that, don't include the text about it. Also, this version, you can notice, has the DSi one has some pretty low resolution in it. Because it's a DSiWare game. It's not that it looks particularly bad, but you could definitely tell it looks not as good as the browser version. It doesn't look as good as a Flash game, so that's a bit of a bummer. It can be kind of hard to tell where things are. The harder part is that placing towers is really difficult because you have to use the stylus to go and slide it where you want it. But, like, when you let go of the pressure, a lot of times it'll move, like, a little bit, and if it's, like, such a little particular pixel you're trying to put it on, it can be really, really hard to place towers where you want them. And there were a lot of times where I was just kind of wiggling around, trying to constantly, like multiple times, trying to like place and let go as soon as it would let me place it in the spot I wanted it. And just had to try over and over to get it to land on that pixel when I actually was let go. So that was really frustrating to deal with. Also, I noticed a weird performance bug where if you have a tower highlighted, so you can like look at the pop count and like you can, if you want to do the cell or the upgrades and whatever, if you have it highlighted while a round is going, it will slow down the gameplay a bit. You notice the frames take a little bit of a dip, and when you aren't selecting it, then it's fine. That's a weird thing. It's not a huge issue. Though there were a few times I was playing where I guess maybe it's a technical limitation thing of the way this was made. That like there were some times where there were weird screen glitches would kind of pop up now and then when rounds, like in random parts like during rounds. I don't know why those showed up. So unless my system is crapping out on me, I think it's just maybe some of the shoddy programming in this version, limitations that they had in the engine and whatever. I don't know the technicals about it. I just know that it's a little weird to have performance issues. That might be why there's not free play mode. It might have just crashed too much. So they took it out. I don't know. Like I say, it's hard to find much documentation on stuff that went on with this game for this this version of it. These are things that I did not have issues with in the browser version. So that's that's a little bit of a bummer. The things that the sacrifices you make in the DSi version. I guess. I think overall that Bloons TD, Bloons Tower Defense 3, Bloons TD 3, whatever the fuck, it's a fun game. It's one of those where I keep coming back to it for tower defense stuff. If I get a hankering for playing a little bit of tower defense, that's usually the game I want to play. I feel those maps are pretty good. I do like a few of the new maps they have in here. Having new maps is really cool, and I did really enjoy playing those. Because I hadn't played them before, and some pretty fun ones. I mean, I turned the music off in the game, so it was like, this is kind of distracting and annoying, and I don't even know if the original one had it or not, because when I played it in the computer lab, most of the time, I didn't have any sound on, because I didn't want people to know I was playing games at school, because you probably weren't really supposed to be playing that. But, Bloons Tower Defense 3 is still a game that like you can play in a browser. I would probably recommend playing it there if you can still... I don't know how easy it is to play now, if you have to get some kind of Flash emulator or something for it now, or if they have ways around that. I don't know. I haven't checked in a while to do that. But the DSiWare version wasn't too bad. I mean, at this point, the eShop is closed, so you can't get it anyway. And I don't think there's a whole lot you're missing out on there that you can't get. Probably some mobile version, probably some web version still. Maybe they'll release a pack someday with all the Bloons Tower Defense games on them or something that you can get. That would be kind of neat, too. I don't know. But even though this isn't, the ideal way to play this, it's still pretty nice to have it in your pocket. I think it was a cool thing. It would have been really cool back in the day to play that, back in its heyday. That's kind of why I decided it was probably still worth talking about, because there are still ways to play it. I don't think it's impossible to play this game anymore. It is becoming more scarce, and I do hope that they make, a more official way to keep playing it in the future. That would be really nice. Get a Switch port going, get a Bloons collection pack going. I don't know. It would be cool to see something with that, because it is really neat, and it's one of those things where it's like, I don't know, not that the tower defense is a dead genre, but it's one that I think is still kind of struggling to find relevance today, usually blending a bunch of other elements in with it, and it's nice to kind of jump back to the simplicity of, like, the fun of tower defense was just playing your tower defense game when you wanted to play your tower defense game, and that was it. It was just, here's the game, you can play it, and it's tower defense. I don't know, I like it. It does a very long-winded way to be like, hey, I like this game. Why doesn't everybody's review just be like that? Why doesn't everybody's review game be like, I like it. End video. What more do you gotta know? I like it. You should check it out, because you might like it too. If I don't like it, maybe you shouldn't, because you wouldn't like it. But I like this one, so maybe you should check it out. Yeah. Maybe we'll edit it down to that. Probably not, but